On January the 3rd, the global financial map was redrawn in less than 3 hours. US Special Forces captured Nicolas Maduro, and within 72 hours, the US announced it would control the sale of tens of millions of barrels of Venezuelan oil indefinitely. This wasn't a standard regime change. This may be the first time a superpower has treated a sovereign nation this explicitly as a distressed asset. And if you understand what just happened, you'll see the next 3 moves before they're announced. Welcome to Money and Power. Today we explain why Venezuela just became collateral for the United States balance sheet and what it means for your capital in 2026. Now, before we break down the mechanics, let me tell you why this matters to your portfolio right now. If the Bailiff Model becomes the standard framework for 2026, 3 things happen to your capital. First, energy prices stabilize or decline as the United States controls more supply. That affects everything from inflation expectations to currency valuations. Second, the dollar strengthens against alternative currencies, which means dollar-denominated assets gain relative to foreign holdings. And third, non-seizable assets, gold, Bitcoin, hard commodities, see sustained institutional demand as hedge positions, not speculation. This isn't theory. Central banks are already repositioning. So if you're holding European equities, emerging market bonds, or cash in non-dollar currencies, the next 10 minutes will show you exactly what forces are moving against you and where the smart money is rotating. But beware, this is not financial advice. Let's break down the structure. Let's look at the financial plumbing of this operation. Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels, but its infrastructure is in ruins. In corporate finance, when an entity cannot service its obligations and loses operational control, a receiver steps in to secure the asset and manage cash flows. That's what's happening here, except the receiver is the US Department of Energy. Yesterday, Energy Secretary Chris Wright confirmed the US will market Venezuelan crude globally, with all proceeds flowing into US-controlled accounts. He didn't say temporary assistance. He said indefinitely. And those proceeds aren't going to Caracas. They're being held to potentially settle decades of debt and nationalization claims from American oil majors. This is what I call the Bailiff Model. The US isn't annexing Venezuela. It's operating it. And if this template works, it won't be the last time we see it. Now here's why this matters beyond Venezuela. There's a persistent narrative that energy no longer anchors the financial system, that we've moved past the petrodollar era. The events of this week suggest otherwise. Energy still determines inflation expectations, trade balances, and currency credibility. By taking operational control of the world's largest oil reserves at a time when OPEC Plus production remains constrained, the US has strengthened the physical collateral backing the dollar. The real power, though, of the petrodollar was never just pricing oil in dollars. It was controlling access to energy markets. When you control who can buy, sell, and transport the world's energy, you don't just influence geopolitics, you control the terms of global settlement. This is what I call hard asset management. Now, layer in the enforcement mechanism, the 100% tariff threat. As India takes the BRICS chair this month, the message from Washington isn't a suggestion, it's an ultimatum. Abandon the dollar and you lose access to the US consumer market. This is what I call the dollar handcuff. If you're India or Brazil, you face a binary choice. Pursue monetary sovereignty and sacrifice access to the world's largest market, or accept dollar settlement and keep your trade lines open. And here's the key. This threat doesn't need to be executed to work. It just needs to be credible. By controlling both energy collateral and market access, the United States has created a gravity well that capital struggles to escape. De-dollarization isn't dead, but it's been effectively priced out of 2026. In practical terms, the dollar has become less a choice and more a mandatory license to trade. If you're finding this analysis valuable so far, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because what we're about to cover next, the 3 assets that operate outside this system, and the list of who might be next, is exactly the kind of analysis you won't get from mainstream financial media. They report what happened, we're explaining what happens next. Subscribe to Money and Power and you'll see the moves before they're announced. Let's talk about the escape routes. When you weaponize the financial system, everyone, even your own states, starts looking for exits. And there are really only 3 assets that operate outside the traditional enforcement grid. Exit 1, Bitcoin. This week, Florida filed House Bill 1039 to create a state-level strategic cryptocurrency reserve. Why now? Because Florida's lawmakers watched what happened on January the 3rd and recognized that in a world where leaders can be captured and accounts frozen, you need an asset that cannot be physically occupied. Bitcoin is the only major asset that cannot be seized without cryptographic keys, doesn't require custodial intermediaries, and operate outside legacy financial rails. Last March, Trump formalized the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve through Executive Order 14233. The federal government is building a position in the one asset it cannot sanction away from itself. Exit 2, gold. But Bitcoin isn't the only hedge central banks are accumulating. Global central banks added over 1,000 metric tons of gold in 2024, the second highest year on record. China, Russia, India, Turkey, they're all building gold reserves at unprecedented rates. Why? Because gold is the original non-seizable asset. Cannot be frozen remotely like dollars in a bank account. It cannot be sanctioned digitally like a SWIFT transfer. It requires physical possession to control. When the US demonstrated it could freeze $300 billion of Russian reserves in 2022, every central bank in the world asked the same question. What percentage of our reserves can Washington reach? Gold became the answer. It's not a coincidence that central bank gold purchases accelerated the moment sanctions became the primary tool of geopolitical enforcement. Bitcoin is the digital hedge against seizure. Gold is the physical hedge. And right now, sovereign wealth funds and central banks are building positions in both. Now here's the question every analyst should be asking. If Venezuela is the template, who else fits the profile? Last night, President Trump mentioned Greenland, the Panama Canal, Cuba, and Mexico, specifically in the context of drug cartels and failed governance. Let's look at this structurally. What makes a target attractive under the Bailiff Model? 3 criteria. 1, strategic resources or infrastructure. Energy, minerals, trade choke points, assets that strengthen the balance sheet or control global flows. 2, weak or contested operational control. The current authority cannot fully exploit, defend, or govern the asset. And 3, US legal security or historical claims. something that provides a narrative framework for intervention. Now apply that filter to Trump's list. Greenland. Rare earth minerals critical for defense and tech. Strategic Arctic position as polar routes open. And US has maintained Thule Air Base since World War II. Panama Canal. Controls 6% of global maritime trade. US built it, transferred sovereignty in 1999, and growing Chinese operational influence. Cuba. 90 miles from Florida, strategic Caribbean position. Decades of failed governance narrative. Guantanamo Bay already provides US military foothold. Mexico drug cartels. This one is potentially the most significant. Trump didn't say invade Mexico. He said the US might need to take action against cartel-controlled territories. Mexican cartels control significant territory and generate an estimated $13 to $29 billion annually, larger than many national GDPs. They operate ports, smuggling routes, and extraction industries. If you apply receivership logic, these are non-state actors controlling strategic assets and cash flows. The framing wouldn't be invasion, it would be stabilization or securing border infrastructure. That's not conquest, it's operational control in the name of security. Now, let's look at the European response. European leaders have responded with what I'd call studied silence. No major condemnation, no emergency EU Council meeting. Why? Because Europe is caught in the same dollar handcuff. They're dependent on US security guarantees through NATO, dollar-denominated trade settlement, and US LNG imports since Russian pipelines were severed. If Europe openly opposes US receivership actions, they risk reduced security commitments and trade friction. But if they endorse it, they legitimize a framework that could be applied to weak European economies in future crises. So they're hesitating. And in geopolitics, hesitation is a form of acceptance. The NATO dilemma. If the US expands the Bailiff Model to Greenland, a Danish territory, and NATO member, Article 5 becomes meaningless. Because this isn't military invasion. It's operational control with a legal veneer. And NATO has no framework for that. So the pattern to watch when you see escalating rhetoric about strategic interests, emphasis on resources or failed governance, reference to cartels, corruption or humanitarian crisis, legal or historical justification being constructed, that's your early warning system. Trump just told you which pages he's reading next. This is the shift underway in 2026. The old rules assumed sovereignty was sacred, markets were neutral, and capital flowed to efficiency. The new rules are different. Power shapes capital flows. Access matters more than ideology. Control is the ultimate form of collateral. If you want to stay ahead of these moves, if you want to see the next Venezuela before it's announced, subscribe to Money and Power, because the bailiff is just getting started and will be tracking every target on his list. Thank you for watching.